Welcome to this explainer. Look, today we're going to completely shatter that illusion of overnight success, and we're diving deep into the grounded and honestly often overlooked reality of building wealth. We're pulling back the curtain on what it actually takes to succeed, and trust me on this, it's a lot less glamorous, but it is far more achievable than what you usually see scrolling online.
Have you ever actually typed that exact question into a search bar? Millions of people do it literally every single day. And what do we usually find? You're instantly bombarded with empty promises. Thousands of gurus pushing these passive income hacks, secret formulas, and absolute guarantees that you're going to become rich in just a few short months. But if we want to find the real answer, we have to look way past the hype.
So, we really need to contrast this whole myth of the shortcut seeker against the reality of the mastery seeker. Because let's be real, what sells on the internet is quick success, passive hacks, and these supposed secret formulas. But what actually works? Just ordinary reality. Long-term wealth doesn't happen by accident. And most millionaires didn't stumble upon some magic shortcut. They simply spend years doing ordinary things extraordinarily well.
All right, moving into Section 1, the smart work myth. Hard work versus smart work.
This tackles what might be the absolute biggest cliche on the internet today. The whole idea that you should simply work smarter, not harder. And it sounds like fantastic advice, but here's the catch. True smart work is the result of years of experience, repeated mistakes, and continuous learning. The absolutely crucial point here is that smart work just doesn't exist without hard work first. Nobody is born knowing the most efficient, brilliant way to do something. You have to earn the experience to discover the smarter path. Hard work creates the experience, and that experience, that creates smart work.
Okay, Section 2, the two graduates, quick success versus mastery.
To really visualize this, imagine putting yourself in the shoes of two people jumping into the workforce at the exact same time. Grad A is all about that quick win. They're trading crypto in year 1, pivoting to selling online courses by year 3, and basically jumping ship whenever things get tough. Meanwhile, you've got Grad B. They pick one skill, say software development, or maybe sales, and they just focus. Over 10 years, they steadily master it, they build deep trust with clients, and they solve real problems. A decade later, it's Grad B who has created massive wealth. Why? Because constantly jumping from trend to trend ultimately loses out to daily, focused, single-skill mastery.
Let's move on to Section 3, the compound effect, beyond just money.
When most of us hear the word compounding, our brains immediately jump to a bank account or a stock portfolio, right? But in reality, it's your skills, your knowledge, your relationships, your reputation, and your confidence that truly compound over time. Think of it like a giant snowball rolling down a mountain. Every single hour you spend learning a new coding language or perfecting a sales pitch today makes tomorrow just slightly easier. It's these human elements that are compounding behind the scenes to create those extraordinary financial results.
And the magic number here, it's just 1%. Seriously, improving just 1% every single day, whether that's reading one extra page, serving one new customer, making one healthier choice, it probably feels totally meaningless in the moment. You don't see immediate results, but it completely transforms your life over 5 to 10 years because it means you are making thousands of good decisions. Millionaires don't make one perfect choice that skyrockets them to success. No way. They make thousands of tiny, good ones.
And as you improve, this incredibly natural progression kicks in. Competence leads to repetition, which finally creates confidence. We all admire that bulletproof confidence of successful entrepreneurs, but that confidence isn't magic. It's certainly not something they were just born with. It is born entirely from competence and the grueling hard work of endless repetition. They've practiced pitching their ideas or putting out fires so much that difficult, high-pressure situations just become normal to them.
Up next is Section 4, the reality of failure, studying mistakes.
Because the truth is, success is usually completely invisible until the results actually show up. We live in a world that, frankly, only really celebrates the finish line. We look at a successful founder standing on a stage and we just see the wealth. But what the world doesn't see are the failed businesses, the countless rejected ideas, the crushing financial stress, and the sleepless nights that predated all that fame and fortune.
And that brings us to a massively powerful realization. Failure is just tuition. While most people are absolutely terrified of failing and run for the hills at the first sign of a mistake, successful people actually study their failures. Every mistake contains vital information. Every single rejection makes your future decisions sharper. They don't view failure as a stop sign. They view it as the mandatory cost of tuition for their future success. The question isn't if you're going to fail, but if you're actually going to learn from it.
Let's dive into Section 5, Becoming Valuable. Money follows value.
So how exactly do we take all that hard-earned tuition and turn it into actual wealth? Well, it all boils down to the basic mechanics of money. If you solve a $10 problem, like mowing a lawn, people are going to pay you $10. Makes sense, right? But if you have the skills to solve a $1 million problem, like streamlining a massive company's global supply chain, you generate massive wealth. Money simply follows value, meaning your primary goal shouldn't actually be chasing dollars. Your goal absolutely must be becoming a more valuable problem solver.
Now, when all that value finally starts paying off, you're going to face a really critical choice. Are you showing wealth or are you building wealth? Most people want immediate rewards, so the absolute second they get a bonus, they buy expensive clothes or a flashy new car just to look rich. But the people who actually sustain their wealth, they practice delayed gratification. They quietly invest their money into real estate, stocks, or their own business to silently build their assets rather than loudly showing them off.
Doing this requires a complete mindset shift. The average mindset is basically always asking one thing: how do I become rich? It is entirely focused on the end result. But the learner mindset, that one is intensely curious and asks, how do I become better? Millionaires rarely start out constantly obsessing over the money itself. They maintain a relentless learner mindset where the wealth just becomes a byproduct of how excellent they've become at their craft, not the initial goal.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 6, the real wealth formula, habits for success.
All right, this is where the rubber actually meets the road. We're talking about actionable habits you can start today. It starts small. Learn one valuable skill, read every day, save consistently, avoid unnecessary debt, keep your promises, and show up daily. Look, I get it, none of these are flashy. Waking up early to read 30 pages of a book isn't going to make you go viral on social media. But these unglamorous daily habits might not look exciting today, but compound them over 20 years, and they act as an absolute life-changing foundation.
And all of this leads us to a really core truth. Discipline creates money, not the other way around. A lot of people have it backwards. They think that once they get a windfall of cash, well, then they'll finally have the freedom and discipline to build good habits. Actually, scratch that. It is the exact reverse. Life and markets are completely unpredictable. Economies change, unexpected challenges happen to all of us. But this kind of disciplined effort and trust building dramatically increases your odds of surviving those uncertainties and coming out on top.
So always remember this: luck may open a door, but hard work is what keeps you inside. You know, people absolutely love to write off someone else's success as just pure luck. It's a really comforting excuse, but doing that entirely misses the thousands of early mornings, the missed weekends, and the intense sacrifices that actually sustain that success once the door of opportunity finally opens.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, pretty heavy question to think about. Are you searching for a temporary shortcut, or are you actually ready to start mastering the ordinary today? Because remember, true success isn't built in a single day. It is built every single day. So choose your path, embrace the hard work, and start compounding your skills today. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.